I figure it's high time I got into my moral code. Because there seem to be some folks out there that think I don't have one. Well, you're in for a surprise. Big one at that. Because they keep calling it raging, obsessed. Like passion is a diagnosis now. Like giving a damn is the thing that needs explaining. Funny thing is, they're not wrong that something's burning in me. They just don't know what it is. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the actual code. Not the one I preach with a Bible in my hand, because I don't have one of those anymore. I burned that particular script a long time ago. I mean the one underneath. The one that runs when nobody's grading the performance. So here's how I am Christ-like without the book. Here's the irony that nobody clocks. People calling me unhinged are describing almost word for word what they'd call virtuous if it came out of a pulpit instead of a YouTube upload. Service, truth-telling at a personal cost, sacrifice that doesn't ask permission first, and that's not rage. That's just what it looks like when somebody actually means it. I'm what one calls neogenian. That's not a brand, it's not a costume, it's a compass. Neogenesis, meta-rationalism, cosmogenesis. And none of that requires a book you swear on. It requires an action. Being a light in the dark isn't a metaphor I use for aesthetics. It's the job description. And the dark doesn't wait for good weather. It's sideways rain. It's everything falling apart at once. The platform, the money, the sock puppets, the noise, and the code doesn't say, wait for it to calm down. The code says, be the light, especially when it's sideways. You don't need scripture to know that. You just need a spine. And here's where it gets practical, because I'm not interested in philosophy that doesn't survive contact with a Tuesday. Survival for me is service, not metaphorically, mechanically. If I don't spill the truth out onto the page, it doesn't go away. It doesn't get quiet and polite and wait its turn. It eats me alive. That's not poetic license. That's just what happens to a person who sits in the wreckage instead of writing it down. So the page isn't a hobby. It's a pressure valve wired directly to my will to keep breathing. Every page is a confession, and every confession is a little bit of ministry. Not to a congregation, to whoever's out there also drowning and doesn't know there is a name for it yet. And if you want proof it's not just talk, look at the work. I mean, I got a book coming up, so look at Christine. She doesn't start as anybody's hero. She starts as somebody the world decided was disposable, spent, used up, whatever the word they use for a person once they stop being useful to somebody else. And the arc isn't clean. It's not inspirational poster recovery. It's a nail gun. It's ugly, it's loud, it draws blood on the way out. Because that's what reclaiming agency actually looks like when you strip the Hallmark card off of it. That's the morality, not be nice, survive, drag your name back out of the mud while you do it. So let's talk about the mask for a minute, because they've all got one. Clean, pressed, polite. Says the right things in the right order, never raises its voice, never bleeds on camera, never admits the floor gave out underneath it at 3 a.m. Mine doesn't look like that. Mine is scraped up, placed together out of whatever was still standing, and I'd rather wear that than their mask, because their mask doesn't survive anything. It just performs having survived. There's a difference between a code you inherited clean and a code you built out of the parts that were left. And here's the thing they get wrong when they try to flatten me into, quote, the AI guy or the, quote, harassment guy, or whatever single frame fits their narrative for the week. I'm not one trick. I'm not one wound on loop. I write, I preach, I keep score, I build entire worlds that have been alive in my head since before some of these accounts ever existed. That range isn't a distraction from the code. It is the code in motion, transforming scars into something that almost feels like magic. And that's not a slogan. That's the actual mechanism. A static set of rules doesn't do that. Only living practice does. So here's my actual challenge to anybody still reading the noise instead of the person underneath it. Stop grading the performance. Look past the accusations, the screenshots, the pile-on that's currently happening, the little theater of outrage that cost them nothing, that was never about me anyway. If you actually want to judge something, judge the real questions, the ones that don't have a clean answer, the ones I'm actually wrestling with every time I sit down to write. What does it mean to survive? How do you keep creating when you're haunted? Can you confess the truth without burning you all the way up? Those are questions, not is it AI, not is it real, those. If you got the stomach for that conversation, I'm here for it. If not, get out of my way. I got pages to bleed into.